Stockings hung, baking treats. It means so much to see. Stop the world a moment for me. Let me live inside the snow, go above my dreams. Stay and play. Christmas is today. No. Stockings hung, baking treats. It means so much to see. Stop the world a moment for me. Let me live inside the snow, go above my dreams. Stay and play. Christmas is today. No.
Testing, mic check. Cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns. Hello, hello, friendos. My name is Nez, and welcome back to yet another Arknights stream. Our second to last stream for the year. It is, as of 6 minutes ago, it is the 24th of December, where I am in the world. There was a bunch of fireworks going on outside. Luckily, it stopped now so we could actually have our stream. I was once again almost late because my alarm did not go off. So I had to eat up my food real quick, loop the intro a bit just so I could eat some breakfast. But anyway, here we are now, friendos. Hello, hello. So, I just woke up. I'm just gonna do some housekeeping first. We're just gonna grab our credits and shit. But anyway, friendos, this is usually the part of the stream where I just share whatever's been going on in the off stream, which is not a lot, really. What have I been doing since the last stream? Not really a lot. Not playing games, not watching movies. I'm not gonna watch Rebel Moon. No fucking way. Not watching that. I'm not watching that raw. I'ma wait for the movie recap. I'm not watching another self-indulgent Zack Snyder film raw yet again. Ain't no way. But anyway, yeah, not really been doing much. Just been farming my daily shit for Fortes de Escapismo. Okay, so I just woke up like 20 minutes ago. I still need to like rev up and wake up. Anyway, friendos, we have a lot to do today. There's a lot going on. Because today we got our year-end Arknights review of everything that is going on in the world of Global Arknights for this past year. Aside from that, before we do that, we actually got some news. We got some news about mobile games, monetization, and gacha being regulated in China. So I got a lot of thoughts on that. I will just drink some water first before we mosey along, and I will bring up the articles. I had to mute there because I sneezed. Okay. Do I have to do anything? Reception room? No. Do any of you fucks have any 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? Okay, so that's housekeeping done. Okay, so that should be it. Anyway, friendos, we have some big news to talk about because recently in China, there's been word that they're finally going to regulate mobile game monetization and most especially gacha. So it's actually been big news lately. I wanted to talk about it before we get into our year-end Arknights review. So I'm just gonna pull up one of the articles that I have bookmarked. Where is it? Huh? Where is it? Where is it? Let's see. This it? Is this it? Okay, there we go. I will minimize this. Bring this up. Nope, is that it? I'll turn on the dark reader so I don't get flashbanged. Okay, so we'll screen this. Okay, here we go. Display. There we go. Okay, so we got an article here by Joshi of Reuters. China announces rules to reduce spending on video games. Hong Kong, December 22. Chinese regulators announced on Friday a wide range of rules aimed at curbing spending and rewards that encourage video games, dealing a blow to the world's biggest market, which returned to growth this year. The new rules, which will effectively set spending limits for online games, sparked panic among investors, wiping nearly 80 billion in market value from China's two biggest gaming companies, as investors sought to gauge the potential impact on earnings and more restrictions in the offing. Well, here we go. 80 billion market value wiped from the two biggest companies. Which one are these? Tencent and... not quite sure which. But yeah, Tencent and... what other mobile game company? Mobile is huge in China. And they rely on a lot of Skinner box tactics to get their players addicted and spending on their games, so... but 80 billion immediately wiped off from the announcement of these regulations and rules. I think it's unheard of. So, I think it's unheard of so far. It's very surprising that it happened, but let's keep reading nonetheless. Online games will now be banned from giving players rewards if they log in every day, if they spend on the game for the first time, or if they spend several times in the game consecutively. All are common incentive mechanisms in online games. So they're banning daily login bonuses, plus they're also gonna ban your first time. They're also gonna ban big rewards for your first time and spending consecutive times on games. Quite frankly, I think that's a good thing. Based. Very based, China. I think this is good. This is great, actually. Because some of you might be thinking, oh, wait, aren't daily login rewards good? Aren't they a good thing? Well, dear viewer, let me tell you about a certain thing called a Skinner box. Hold up. Because y'all may think that daily login rewards are just this fun way to reward you logging in every day and keeping up the habit, but there's another word for that. It's called a Skinner box. It's operant conditioning. Daily logins are 100% designed to create a habit in you logging in, to make logging into a game and being exposed to that game as much as a part of your daily life as possible. And the more they drip, the more games keep drip feeding you small little rewards by just logging in. It just changes the way your habits form throughout a long period of time. And that's one of the most sinister parts of live services that many gamers either are completely unaware of or they just don't care about, because they think, hey, daily login rewards, that's cool, I get a reward for logging in. Wow, no effort whatsoever. Nothing is for free. If something's for free, you're the product. So I'm completely okay with them banning daily login rewards, plus also the big value packs you get for purchasing something in a game for the first time, or if you spend consecutive times. That's even more predatory, to be honest. Holy shit. So yeah. Anyway, Shares in Tencent Holdings, the world's biggest gaming company, tumbled as much as 16% at one point, while those of its closest rival NetEase plunged as much as 25% after the National Press and Publication Administrations published the new draft rules. So yeah, wow, that is 80 billion wiped off just from investor fear of all these restrictions. And quite frankly, not my fucking problem. Not the consumer's problem how much these companies make. Find a less predatory way to keep your gamers addicted on your services. Thank you very much. Not our problem. Shares of tech investor Prosus followed Tencent lower, losing 14.2% in early trade on Friday and were among the biggest fallers on the pan-European stock market. Prosus owns 26% in Tencent. Rip Bozo. Rip Bozo. It's not necessarily the regulation itself, it's a policy risk that's too high, said Stephen Lung, Executive Director of Institutional Sales at broker UOB Kay Hian in Hong Kong. People had thought this kind of risk should have been over and had started to look at the fundamentals again. It hurts confidence a lot. Aww, is the CEO sad? Billions of his money just disappeared? Aww. When asked about the draft rules' impact, Tencent Games Vice President Vigo Zhang said Tencent will not need to fundamentally change its reasonable business model or operations for games. Doubt on reasonable business model. Okay, doubt. Adding that the company has been strictly implementing regulatory requirements. Oh, they're mad. They're mad. They're fuming. Anyway, Zhang added that miners had been spending historically low level of money and time on Tencent's games since 2021, when miner protection became a focus for Beijing. Yeah, the kids weren't spending on our games anyway. You don't need to regulate us. We self-regulate. Okay. We investigated ourselves. We're pretty sure that miners don't spend a lot on Gacha. Yeah. Doubt. NetEase declined to comment. At least NetEase was smart to keep their mouths fucking shut. Beijing has become increasingly tough on video games over the years. In 2021, China set strict playtime limits for under 18 and suspended approvals for new video games for about 8 months, citing gaming addiction concerns. Okay, the first part of the sentence really sucks. The second part, I'm okay with. But limiting playtime for minors, yeah, that's a personal thing that I don't think governments should step into. But I digress. Although the crackdown formally ended last year with the resumption of new game approvals, regulators have continued to impose restrictions to curb in-game spending. I will just take a sip of water. The new rules revealed on Friday are the most explicit. The new rules revealed on Friday are the most explicit yet aimed at curbing in-game spending. Besides banning reward features, games are also required to set limits on how much players can top. Hold up, I got gas coming out of me. I'll take another sip of water. What's up, Rival D? What am I reading? We are reacting to China announcing that more rules to reduce spending on video games, more regulations coming, Gacha finally being regulated. Very based and real. Yeah, the daily login stuff. I think them banning daily login is a very good thing. It just reduces the Skinner box tactics in getting people addicted to your live service gambling gacha games. I think this is a very good change, them banning daily rewards. And also the big value things that they give for first time spending and consecutive spending. These are all very predatory tactics. I think it is a very good thing that they're banning or regulating all of these. So, 80 billion market cap. just wiped off from the two biggest gaming companies, Tencent and NetEase. Rip Bozo, not our problem. Not our problem. The big CEOs lost billions of money. Rip Bozo. So anyway, where were we? Besides banning reward features, games are also required to set limits on how much players can top up their digital wallets for in-game spending. So I'm also very okay with this. I do not believe that there is a single video game in the world where it is ethical to have players spend thousands of dollars on. Even if you love a game, even if you enjoy that game, even if it's the only game you play, I don't think it's fucking ethical that any game can earn thousands of dollars from one single consumer. Let alone thousands of those single consumers. The removal of these incentives is likely to reduce daily active users and in-app revenue. Yeah, no shit. And could eventually force publishers to fundamentally overhaul their game design and monetization strategies. Yeah, that's the point. That's the fucking point. Hooray! Good! Based! Games are also banned from offering probability-based luck draw Games are also banned from offering probability-based lucky draw features to minors and from enabling the speculation and auction of virtual gaming items. They're banning Gacha for minors, which I, as a ex-Gacha gambling addict, as a once minor, 100% approve. 100% approve as an ex, as once a gambling addict, as a teenager. I 100% approve. Gacha games should be nowhere near anyone under 18 with no responsibility, with no disposable income. I 100% believe that all gacha games should be should be labeled as 18 plus for adult only, not for like whatever sexy character designs they have. No, just for the gambling. I could give a shit if minors see sexy anime characters. I do give a shit if minors get addicted to gambling, because that's an actual harmful vice. And China, being one of the first countries to actually make concrete initiatives in protecting minors against gacha gambling. So, once again, very good, very based. The new rules include a proposal that is widely expected to be welcomed by the industry. Well, not by the industry, but by me. by me at least. The industry's probably pissed that they don't get to target minors anymore, but okay. Requiring regulators to process game approvals within 90 days. Now that's what I'm not quite sure of yet, because we know this will affect new games coming out past the legislation, but we don't know how this will affect existing games. So that's still something to keep an eye out. Will existing games have to change their monetization to fit the new regulation rules? I guess we'll have to see. If Arknights eventually becomes more consumer friendly and less predatory because of these regulations, I welcome it. I 100% welcome it. This is the downfall of Gacha. I've been waiting for this my entire life. This is a great thing. Meanwhile, Chinese regulations announced on the same day licenses for 40 new imported games for domestic releases, seen as a signal for Beijing's willingness to allow more games in the country despite the draft rules on game spending. The new rules will also affect Beijing's concerns over user data, requiring game publishers to store their servers in China. The administration is seeking public comment on the rules through Jan 22, 2024. As a result of Beijing's crackdown on gaming in 2021 and 2022, 2022 was Chinese gaming's most difficult year on record as the total revenue shrank for the first time. Oh, I'm gonna play a tune on the world's smallest violin. Chinese video game market returned to growth this year as domestic revenue rose 13% to 303 billion yuan, according to the industry association CGIGC. Well, okay, there we go. Nothing to be worried about. They earned way more. Wonder why. Mihoyo. They earned way more last year. I wonder fucking why. Two of the new biggest gacha games released. Wonder why. This is why China runs companies in Singapore. Yeah, that's a loophole. That's a loophole. That's why they run global operations. That's why China runs many global operations in Singapore to avoid these Chinese regulations, including Griffline, including Griffline. They're self-publishing for Enfield. The harsh draft rule also casts a shadow on gaming stocks globally. US gaming stocks, Roblox, Electronic Arts, and Unity slipped between 1.7 and 3.1 on Friday. That's not really much. While in Europe, French video games developer Ubisoft was down more than 3%. So yeah, this is the original Reuters article, and I think it explains a lot. So far, the things that are going to be regulated are the daily login rewards, first spending, and consecutive spending. They're going to have a limit on how much in-game currency on how much premium currency you could top up in your wallets. And they are also trying to regulate gacha from being anywhere near minors. So I think all of these are objectively good things. Some CEOs may be panicking that they'll have to change the monetization of their current and maybe future products, but frankly, as a consumer, not my fucking problem. Find more ethical ways to get people playing your games and to get people spending on your games. You're already using gacha. The entire industry has already let gacha loose from the genie bottle. You can't let it in anymore. No one's ever gonna completely regulate gacha, but keeping it away from minors is at least a big step in protecting people from developing gambling addictions early on. It's still shitty that it even happens and exists to begin with, and it's not as regulated as I would like to be. But these protections are welcome regardless. Baby steps in trying to regulate gacha. I will not lie to you, friendos. Most of you guys already know my position. I hate gacha games from a fundamental level. I think they are predatory and they are cancerous to even the core design of video games that they use, that they're in. I think there is absolutely nothing good about the gacha monetization, and they create more victims than happy people over a long period of time. So I'm quite okay with these changes. I'm not gonna lie to you guys and pretend, oh no, my favorite gacha game, it might turn out worse if these regulations pass. They might make a worse monetization model. I guarantee you, friendos, there is no worse monetization model than gacha. No fucking way. We could maybe look at Overwatch, because Overwatch is one case in where they moved away from the gacha. They went from a premium game where you buy once, and then they had gacha for all of their skins, and then they moved away from that. They moved away from that for Overwatch 2, and they became free to play. They no longer had the loot boxes, but the skins became direct purchase. There is controversy on the actual valuation of the skins and whether they're actually worth the price or not. We have $60 skins going up. This has been especially happening in other games such as League, but even League still has loot boxes while they're also selling $200 skins, more or less. This happens in PoE. They also have loot boxes, but they also sell like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of skins. So even though this is gonna keep away gacha from minors, gacha's not going away completely. Existing games will not be affected that much. Our best case scenario is that with banners, they might add a direct purchase for characters, which is gonna be sick. It's still pay to win. It'll actually be way more obviously pay to win than it is now, because people still make the excuse that, oh well, you're gambling, it's just pay to progress. No, if you could gamble or directly buy gameplay advantages in the video game, it is pay to win. And all gacha games, by its very nature, are pay to win, including Arknights, every single game that MiHoYo put out, every single gacha game. There is no arguing about it. Every single gacha game is pay to win. And these changes might make it a bit more obvious if they're gonna make direct purchases possible of the characters that you want. But it is what it is. The genie is out of the bottle. We cannot stop gacha, but we can at least protect the kids from gacha, which I think is an objective good thing. I'm not high on, unlike other gacha game YouTubers, I'm not high on the supply. I know exactly what is wrong with this genre and how it hurts people, and I won't lie to you guys about it. Objectively, I think these changes are a very good thing. No single video game should be allowed to siphon thousands of dollars from a single consumer, a single buyer. That's completely unethical. This just adds a bit more protections for that. For people and minors that are intent on actually playing gacha games and spending on gacha games, they're gonna find a way regardless. But hopefully these regulations actually bring in some built-in in-game protections for these kinds of people. For the people that can actually be protected, that don't have addictions yet, I hope these can actually make an impact of any sort, just a tiny impact in protecting those kinds of vulnerable people. So hopefully this turns out well for the industry. This is an objective good thing. I'm not gonna fearmonger. I'm just gonna say that I hope that this pushes through and the gaming industry fucking gets better. I wish that the mobile gaming industry, the free-to-play gaming industry, finds a better way. I wish we could all find a better way to enjoy games without them being fucking predatory, like gacha games are. Well, that's it. That's my soapbox. I think this is an objective good thing. This is very much a good thing. I think this is most of the context that we need. I could pull up the actual announcement, but Reuters already did a good job in summarizing everything for us. So that's it. We got some news from China. They're going to regulate spending in video games, which is good. Hooray. Anyway, that's that. Okay, so gacha gamers are like, wow, animals are so dumb. We get to hunt them. We're human beings. We're so smart. We would never fall in traps. The average gacha gamer. The average gacha gamer when they see anime JPEGs. Anyway, there's that. There we go. There we go. Okie dokie. So now I'm gonna pull up my playlist because it is time. It is time. The future of gaming. Gacha games. The moment Genshin Impact earned more billions of dollars, when it came out, it changed gaming forever. Every single company wanted a big gacha game. Well, EA already has their gacha game. It's called FIFA Ultimate Team. Blizzard had their gacha game. It was called Overwatch, but it died because of Bobby Kotick. So, Western gacha games are still alive in FIFA. And they're still alive in skins. Western, people like to say that Western developers don't make gacha games, but they do. They 100% do. It's just limited to skins. You could look to Riot for that. You could look to Grinding Gear for that. You could look to Activision and EA for that. Y'all don't know, but they got their mobile game divisions, but also in their free-to-play divisions, they have loot boxes. It's not going away. No one's ever gonna regulate it. We say that the gaming industry is gonna self-regulate, but no one wants to purposely lose money. Well, a CEO at least. A CEO doesn't want to lose money from, treating their players and consumers fairly. What is that? What's the point of making money if you have to treat your consumers like human beings? There's no point in doing that when you can earn lots of money. But anyway, yeah. So these tiny regulations, I do hope they work out for the best, and that Global maybe follows suit. So anyway, it is about time, friendos. It is almost the end of 2023, and Arknights has had, quite frankly, I think Arknights has had its best ongoing year yet, especially because we've had so many different events this year, plenty of them actual greatest of all time bangers in Arknights. So today, we're gonna be having a year-end review of every single event that has gone on in 2023 for Arknights. We're gonna reminisce about the past, we're gonna reminisce about all these events, remember the good times and the bad, while also hoping for the future. So we're gonna be reacting to all of the main trailers for all of the events that happened this year, and then we're gonna be talking about them. And to start things off, we are starting off with Lingering Echoes. We started 2023 with Lingering Echoes with Depressed Goat Boys, and we're also starting 2024 with the same event rerun. Depressed Goat Boys to start the year all over again. So, I'ma just turn off the music. Turn down the music. Time to react. Time to reminisce about all the events that went on this year in Arknights. Hold up. It's in the middle. Okay. I'm gonna shuffle the playlist or loop playlist. Let's put this to 1080p. Here we go. The trailer to Lingering Echoes. Gotta say, it's been a long time since we had Lingering Echoes just injecting us with as much depression as it did. The story between Ebenholz and Kreide, I think it is definitely among the top stories in Arknights, because it was a more personal thing that definitely highlighted our main characters, and especially Ebenholz, and it was definitely the beginning of the Lithanian arc in Arknights. It was a grand opening in our introduction to Lithanian and everything going on with the Witch King and the Twin Empresses. We got so many interesting characters introduced in this game mode with one of our earliest alters in Hibiscus, and along with bringing Ebenholz into the fold. Ebenholz, who's grown into a competent operator nowadays. Because when Ebenholz first came out, he was more or less on the bottom rung of many boss killers because of his kit. But now that he got his third module, he's actually apparently pretty good now. Ah, these skins. When these skins first came out, I got the Flametail skins so fast. Gamer Flametail is one of my favorite skins of all time. We got a gamer skin for Kirara in this event, and then we also got one for Osta. Then we got a Cyberpunk reference. Cyberpunk has also come a long way. We had our SSS reveal. This was when SSS first came out. At least the updated version, I think. Or was it the actual premiere? I'm not quite sure. We had our modules. It was definitely an event to remember, one to especially start the year with. We got our second modules for Passenger and Scotty. Those two have shaped up to be interesting operators in their own right as time went on. Okay. It's autoplaying. It's autoplaying. So yeah, it felt like 6 months ago you cleared this event. It was actually 1 year. It's been almost 1 year since we had Lingering Echoes. And yeah, we started off the year with the Pressed Goat Boys, and we're gonna do the same thing in 2024, when the rerun starts at the beginning of that year. Good times. Good times. Evan Holtz. I think eventually I might also use gold certs to pick up Evan Holtz now that he's actually good. With his third module, he has a new niche in his elemental damage, in his boss killing capabilities. He's now a very interesting character to work with and play with. And I can't wait when he comes back to the shop so I could actually get him. I missed out on him the first time, and I regret not having him now. So anyway, there's that. After Lingering Echoes, we had our first limited event of the year, which was our summer event, which happens in January because of timing reasons for global. We had Ideal City Endless Carnival. It was our first introduction to Gaviel's Altar, and also Durin Society. The soundtrack of this event was also pretty bangin'. Our summer events have always been the more lively events of the year. Because we have so many depressing stories in Arknights, these summer events are always great just to have a bit of levity. It also had a bit of depression on its own with Minimalists, of course. It didn't really have a big bad to fight. There was no big evil boss that they had to fight with. It was more of a man versus nature kind of thing to save Zeruetsa. And we also had the premiere of Posey, one of the strongest units to ever come to Arknights. This was the beginning of the massive power creep that was about to come later in the year. Along with Gavial coming in, who is now one of the premium Centurion guards that we have for the game. It was the beginning of a new era for Arknights, where power was much more increased compared to older year operators. It was a pretty fun event. We had to fight on boats and shit. There were platforms that we could use. We got a lot of Coral Coast skins, fan favorite ones, especially with Elysium and La Pluma. It was one of the first times we got a live 2D skin for a non-limited operator. So they were definitely trying to milk us for that one, giving Surtur a new bikini skin, a live 2D bikini skin. One of the first times we got one for a non-limited operator. And overall, the event was pretty fun. I think back on it now, because during the actual event itself, the story, I felt disappointed by the story because I thought it wasn't as bombastic as I wanted it to be, but I think, looking back on it now, it was the right amount of levity that Arknights needed, especially considering the other events to come this year. And we also had our teaser for Trials for Navigator, which happens right after Ideal City. How tight month between limiteds? With other limiteds, it's just 1 month. It's supposed to be 3 months, but I think it's supposed to be 3 months because the last limited event before Ideal City was Stiltifarer Novice? Question mark? Yeah, it should have been Stiltifarer Novice. And that did happen 3 months before. It only felt short because we had back-to-back events from Stiltifarer Novice all the way up to Ideal City. And there were a lot of banners from Spectre Altar all the way up to all the way up to Gavial. And right after Gavial, we're gonna have so many S tier banners that it's gonna be crazy for the rest of the year. Reminiscing is fun. We got our nostalgia goggles on, we forget that. Hey, wait a minute. We're kind of missing something about this part of the year that we don't remember quite yet. Oh, we're gonna get there. Oh, we're gonna get there. So right after Ideal City, Trials for Navigator happened, which was our boss rush game mode that comes around every other time of the year. I don't remember much from Trials for Navigator 1. I remember the latter ones. I remember the second, but not 1. I don't even remember which bosses showed up for 1. Even after Executor, we got oh my god, my resource. Yeah. I'm not gonna talk about leaks just to be polite to Hypergriff about it. But yeah. Aya's banner is coming soon. Coming very soon. So, I held off on pulling on Executor just because I need to pull on Aya's banner, Typhon's banner, and Jessica's banner. So there's that. Anyway, that was Ideal City Endless Carnival. Good memories, good times. Our summer event is less than a month away on Global, and it's gonna be pretty exciting when we finally get to that. And I could finally have a chance to use 300 Spark with maybe Chen or Gavial. Most likely Chen. But anyway, let's move on. So after Trials of Navigator happened, we had Contingency Contract Season 10, Operation Ashring. Hell yeah, baby! Oh, this year was an era for CC. I think it had some of the best CCs we've ever had in Arknights. There were so many great events this year. Most especially the soundtracks. Let's just listen to that. We're gonna miss these. We're gonna miss these so much, especially because the current season of CC isn't quite the same. But reminiscing about the older ones, holy shit, I forgot this one came out with the Thirsty Brocca skin. What the fuck? Oh my god. Operation Ashring, the beginning of some of the greatest CCs of all time. And so far it is bygone era of some of the best events in Arknights history, actually. Holy shit. Just reminiscing about it gives me chills. Okay, so that was that. I don't quite remember the map for Ashring. It's not that stuck in my head, so there's that. I'm gonna just move on. After Operation Ashring, we have... What is this? After Operation Ashring, we had To Be Continued. Ooh, that's a bit loud. So, To Be Continued was a mini event that happened to just continue a few of the dangling plot threads we had from previous events. It was a very welcome one, actually. We had continuations of Break the Ice. We had continuations of some of his Sui sibling saga. We had continuations of some of the daily stuff that we got from before. We got continuations of Il Siracusa. And so many things that just built the world of Arknights so much broader than just what the actual events gave us for their main characters. These focused on side characters for many of the events. And I think that's one of the things that are great about Arknights, because it really feels like the world of Arknights just expands horizontally instead of just vertically through main events. I've said this once before in a video that I think Arknights might be the One Piece of visual novels, in that the world just keeps getting more dense and wider the more stories that they put out, especially ones that don't involve main characters like Doctor and Amiya. Especially with stories that involve side characters most of all, to just flesh out the world, make you really believe that this is a living, breathing world with real characters in them, with real people in them, with their own lives and motivations. We get so many stories about so many different types of people, and To Be Continued was definitely a breath of fresh air in just harkening back to all of these side characters that we had before and actually fleshing them out a bit more, because maybe they might have some more participation in coming chapters. Yeah, a lot of these characters from To Be Continued started showing up in later events of their plot lines. So in hindsight, To Be Continued was very important because it sorta became the puzzle piece that connected some events to other events. You remember this? We got 4 bosses in one map? Yeah. Trials for Navigator was fun. It's always fun. By fun, I mean... it's masochistic. But it's fun in a masochistic way. But anyway, yeah, that was To Be Continued. So, after this, we were in rerun season. We had The Solace Holiday. It was a rerun of the previous event that we had last year for summer. By summer, I mean January. Y'all already know how that goes. These summer events at least have great music. They bring levity to a very much depressing game. It was my first time actually doing The Solace Holiday because I started Arknights right after Great Chief Gabriel's rerun. So I never got to actually play the original event. So this was my first time doing this event and reading it. They did an okay job at Chen and Lin. I just think it's really funny now considering what we know from the anime about Lin, but I guess maybe you can consider that as a separate adaptation thing. So far, we have a lot of war criminals on Rhodes Island. I sort of just stopped caring as much that we have so many war criminals in Rhodes Island, especially Rat Princess. But yeah, this event was the premiere of Chen the Holiday. Who would have thought that a year ago, Chen would be the least of our worries in terms of game balance. She would be the least of our fucking worries. I don't even think much people use Chen anymore, now that we have Mjolnir, Posey, so many other high DPS operators. Yeah, this rerun was definitely fun, at least for me. I could get my Mudrock skin, and all these skins that rerun from all the way last year. I still have to get my J skin. My J is built up. I'm M6ing that man just for IS. I need his lifeguard skin, eventually. Apparently, we had the module system all the way last year. I don't quite remember that. So anyway, yeah. We had so many different events this year going on. It's hard to remember all of them, but I do remember the vibe of these summer events. They're always fun. Did I replay that? Okay. Did I skip something? Nope. Okay. So yeah, that was that. The Solace Holiday. The rerun for the Solace Holiday. It was a fun event, just to lighten the mood in hindsight, in a very depressing year for Arknights, with a lot of S-tier events. So far, I think that the beginning quarter of 2023 was pretty solid for Arknights, but the latter half of 2023 was just banger after banger. So, after the Solace Holiday, wait, you know when they put this as first altar, all the people thought that Chen was Blazeskin and HG got criticism, then they changed the face a little bit. Yeah, I heard about that drama. I wasn't there yet. People got mad that this swimsuit skin was an altar, and they felt that it didn't feel like Chen. Well, that's the least of our problems now. But anyway, after the Solace Holiday, if you don't remember, we had the drought of 2023, where we had so many dead weeks. I don't quite remember when it exactly happened. I think I can pull up. I'm gonna pull up the events list from Game Press and see when the drought actually happened. Okay, when did it actually happen? Because there was a whole month of dead weeks in Arknights, which I 100% remember happening. It wasn't an hallucination. So we go all the way back. Wait, that's way too far. Oh, no, far. We go up. So that was up to March. The Solace Holiday ran up to March. Oh yeah, before the Solace Holiday, we actually had the premiere of Prelude to Dawn, the anime for Arknights. I forgot about that. They had this. Actually, no, it wasn't the premiere. The premiere happened last year. They just gave out the skin, the purchasable skin. They allowed us to buy it sometime around March. So there was a lot of controversy with this skin because people really didn't feel like $30. A skin was not worth $30. And how much is a skin really in Arknights? I'm just curious about that. So let's say an 18 OP skin. How much is 18 OP? So 18 OP, if you don't have the double, is about... there's no way to get... Okay, so if you buy 2 of these, it's about $20. Okay. So a skin in Arknights is about $20. But I think the biggest problem with the Prelude to Dawn pack with the Exia skin is that it had FOMO. We weren't sure that the Exia skin would ever come back. So if you really wanted to use the Exia skin, this might have been the only time to ever get it. You had to spend $30, and that felt bad. That felt really bad. FOMO. In my gacha game? No, never! Bro. So, they never did this ever again. With Season 2 of Perish and Frost. They never did this skin... they never did direct purchase skin ever again. Just to not piss off players with the price of it. I think it would have been okay if they brought it back and not relied on FOMO to fleece people of $30. But so far, they never did this ever again. HG got scared with the backlash. So after the Solace Holiday, we have March 10th, and then we had Dorothy's Vision. So actually, we did have a bunch of dead weeks, but they weren't consecutive. They happened in between events. So I remember now. We didn't have a whole month of dead weeks. We had them in between every single event. Yeah, because since the start of the year, we had consecutive event after event after event, and then we had dead weeks in between event starting with Dorothy's vision. And we got another limited skin for a Mia plant now. Yeah, that skin is gonna come with... That skin is gonna come with the lore book. Which I think is actually fair. If it comes with a lore book, I think it just comes for free. And they're gonna keep reprinting the lore book. It's not as FOMO-induced as the Exia skin. So, as long as they keep reprinting the lore book, I think there's gonna be a steady supply of the Amiya skin. So I don't have much of a problem with that. Anyway. So, our next event, which happened right after the Solace holiday, was Dorothy's Vision, the premiere of the continuation of the Rhine Lab arc, which started off with Mansfield Break, and continuing with Dorothy's Vision, and later ended off in the year with Lone Trail. Dorothy's Vision. What do we gotta say about Dorothy's Vision? It was a release of one of the more interesting operators in Arknights. It was our first 6-star Trap Master, and Dorothy has found many a niche, especially in Reclamation Algorithm, and especially in many stall strats. And I think she's one of the more better designed characters in Arknights, just by how the way she plays and her versatility in all her different skins and all her different skills. Dorothy's Vision was all about Dorothy as the main enemy. People forget that Dorothy was actually a mad scientist that kept people in stasis to use for experiments. We do have many a war criminal in Rhodes Island. Hilarious. Dorothy's Vision was also the premiere of the robots, leading up to our suffering in Pinch Out nowadays. It was also one of the more melancholic events, because we had a lot of build-up with Rhine Labs, the relationship between Saria and Silence building up, with Dorothy's Vision acting as the catalyst for Silence to start being more proactive in our approach to Rhine Labs. Yeah. A later banner that'll come right after Dorothy's Vision would overshadow this event, because Dorothy, being a niche trap master, could not withstand the power, the masculinity, the testosterone, and the DPS of one of the strongest operators to come to Arknights. Unfortunate that this banner, we had many victim banners this year, which were skipped because of our hindsight on Chinese servers. We know exactly which operators to come are the best to pull, and Dorothy's banner suffered much for it. Luckily for me, I pulled for Dorothy. And I got her in... How many pulls did I get her in? Not quite sure. Less than pity, for sure. So I was lucky with that. I wanted Dorothy specifically for Reclamation Algorithm, and so far she has expanded her usefulness to so many other game modes. She's one of my favorite characters in the game. It's just that I don't find much of a use for her nowadays, but in more specialized game modes, she's definitely very nice to have. I will just take a short little bathroom break and a water break to refill my water. So I will be right back before we continue on with the next event. I hath returned. Okay. So, after Dorothy's event, we had one of the most important banners and premieres of character and premiere of a character in all of Arknights. This character would go on to shape much of the year's like difficulty in game modes, in strategies. This character is so powerful and so meta-defining that I personally don't think that Hypergriff should ever make a character deal way more damage than he does currently now. This was the event that premiered our boy Milnar. All hail the uncle, our obscure wanderer. This was just a mini event. This wasn't a big ass event with with grand CGs. It was a mini event where we had a continuation with our Uncle Milnar after he showed up in the Nearlight Saga. He was still searching for the Neural parents, Maria and Margaret Neural's parents. He was still searching for them. We also had the release of one of the strongest base operators in the game, Proviso. I never really got her, unfortunately. But also, the man himself, the man that would go on to change the meta of Arknights forever, the man that power crept Silver Ash. There's some copium that Silver Ash still has niches in anti-invisibility, but Milnar doesn't need anti-invisibility. Milnar just needs to kill. Milnar was one of the strongest characters in the game, by far, still is, doesn't look like that'll ever change. This event was a premiere of that. It is a monumental event just because of this one dude, of this one horse uncle. And these skins were just a little cherry on top for the storm to come. We also had, the login event. I forgot about the login event. We had our modules come out for Hoshiguma and Friends. The module for Nyan that came out, which bumped her up to one of the best defenders in the game because of her large-ass defense. An obscure wanderer. It was just a mini event, but it had so much impact in Arknights in hindsight. Our boy Milnar has come a long way in carrying all of our asses through CCs, through reclamation algorithm, through adverse and hell modes. The horse will carry us from... The horse carried us starting then, and the horse carries us still to this day. The one-man army with newspaper in his hand. Yep. Way too overpowered. Way too overpowered. But there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do about it. Anyway, after an obscure wander, we had yet another dead week. And then we had one of our next collabs in our collab with the Legend of Liu Xiaohei, the Long Time No See event. It was another mini event. It was definitely... I expected this event to be so much more livelier and to have more levity than it had, but honestly, looking back on it, this event had one of the like saddest, most melancholic vibes of a lot of the events this year. You thought it would be silly just because it's based on a Chinese cartoon, but no. It was about pets. It was about familial love. It was very well written. It is low-key. I think the Liu Xiaohei event was low-key one of the best written events this year. It was concise. It knew what it needed to do. And it fleshed out Lungmen a bit more, which I enjoyed. It had a feature with Lee and his detective agency. And I always enjoy whenever they come up. Liu Xiaohei. Not sure if we'll ever have a rerun of this event ever again, but judging by the Rainbow Six rerun and the Nine-Tailed Deer rerun, we should, in theory, possibly get a rerun in the future. Liu Xiaohei, Casey Friendos have not gotten him. He is one of our cutest operators around. It's a bit way too loud. Oh yeah, we got a third skin for Suzerain from this event. By this time, Suzu has gotten... Wait, no, this was her second skin. She would get her third skin later this year. That girl has so many skins. So yeah, what else do we have to say about the Liu Xiaohei event? Not much. It was about pets. If you ever had a pet, the event would actually break you down. It was very sad. It was very melancholic. I think Liu Xiaohei and his friends are still stuck on Terra. They should... For the rerun, I wonder who they're gonna make into... Who they're gonna make into the next welfare character. Or they're just gonna rerun Xiaohei. Because they didn't really add a new character for Nine-Tailed Deer's rerun. They just brought her back. They might give a new skin though. So anyway, there was that. After the Xiaohei event, we had the Near Light rerun in preparation for the limited event in the mid-year. Near Light. Quite frankly, one of my favorite arcs in all of Arknights. It was a tournament arc. Arknights had its tournament arc. It was just as good as all of the GOATs of tournament arcs in anime. There was so much drama, so much intrigue going on behind the scenes, especially with Platinum and the Armorless Union. It was our introduction to... This arc was our introduction to Kazimierz and all of its... and all of its capitalist dystopia. Justice Knight came back just for those that missed out on her previously. We had our welfare wild main, and in this arc we did have the premiere of Highness Sylvestris. Ferocerum has unfortunately not made an impact in the metagame. Plaintail premiered in this event, who is now one of the best defensive vanguards in the game. If you need defenses early on, she's your gal. And Near Light, Neural the Radiant Knight. This was the premiere of Neural. Was one of the very first alters in the game. I think she was the first alter in the game. She was also she was my very first limited event. She was my very first limited event operator. I got her very early on. Since then, she has been my wife. She has carried me to many a game mode. We got so many skins from this event. We got Rose's skin, the Masterpiece one. We got Palace's Heritage skin. We got Lowlight's Silent Arrow skin, and then Myrtle's skin, who, if you don't remember, people celebrated Myrtle's first skin. She was very much still well used. It still is to this day. The first skin for our little Duran girl. It was something to be celebrated. We got our first module for Passenger, which turned him from peasant to god very early on last year. So far, Near Light, I have a lot of very fond memories of Near Light. It was my very first limited event. It was the first time that I really fell in love with Arknights storytelling. It was just so Kino. It was so Kino, the whole thing, the whole arc. It was a tournament arc full of Kino and cinema. I loved it. Radiant, still to this day, is one of my favorite character songs of all time. You need this BGM to be played in your lobby UI? Yeah, I also made a video about that. Like, I wish we could just play many of the songs in Arknights on an in-game jukebox. Just in your main menu, not just from the ones that you could change with your background. I wish we could just go through the entire library. It's already in the game. All the music is already in the game. We just need a way to play them outside of their actual stages. So yeah, there was that. After Near Light, we had a bit of a downtime. There was some dead weeks where we had a preparation banner for Return to Mist, which is episode 11 for the main story. The preparation banner, which was Horn, which was Silac, and I forgot the other person on the banner. So, we once again return to the main story with all of its depression glory. Return to Mist, episode 11. It was a continuation of the Victorian arc for Arknights. So far, in hindsight, this arc had it all, actually. It had it all. We finally got to Victoria. It was right after... Was this episode 10 or episode 11? I'm not quite sure. But we finally got to Victoria. We were finally having Siege. Face down her history, her past. We got the introduction to the Resistance League. We got so much world building on the history of Victoria starting then with the Steam Knights and shit. And then we got Allerdale, who we thought was going to be one of the newest waifus added to Siege's harem, but in hindsight, let's just say that didn't happen. It's episode 11, yeah. So in this event, this was also one of the events that fell victim to the Festival of Banners that we had this year. Festival of S-tier banners. Unfortunately, Stainless suffered the brunt of it because he was a niche operator. Nowadays, now that my account is built up, I 100% regret not having Stainless now. My account's built up. I just want to get niche operators nowadays. Stainless, unfortunately, I had to miss out on him because later this year would come a limited banner for the history, for the ages of limited banners. I forgot that we even got a live 2D skin for Lee back then. I forgot that Lee got a Onceler skin. His ass got himself a Onceler skin. So, what was that? The second live 2D skin for a non-limited character? So, it was definitely becoming a recurring trend now that whenever Hypergriff wants money, they just make a live 2D skin of a very popular character. We got a new Annihilation mission. Honestly, I'm gonna be very frank, I don't remember any of the Annihilation missions released this year. They are so forgettable. So yeah, we got episode 11. The story itself was a huge banger. We got Siege finally dealing with her history and her past, with her family, with the skeletons in her closet, with Victoria. We got the reintroduction of a very important character to Babel, which shook basically the entire story. To Return to Mist, it had a lot of things going for it. It was definitely up there with among the stories of the year. But after episode 11, we had the release of one of the best game modes in all of Arknights. We had the release to Integrated Strategies 3, Mizuki and Kerula Arbor. The updated game mode to IS2. This game mode was so much more fleshed out than IS2. Wait, why is it hanging? Whoop. It's loading. Why is it loading? So far, I think IS3 might be Arknights' best game mode just by virtue of elimination. Every other game mode is seasonal, while IS remains evergreen. It remains ever relevant. It's a difficult game mode in where you could challenge yourself as far as you want to go. And IS3 is definitely when they started getting their bearings on how they wanted to design these modes, how they wanted them to go. They learned from their mistakes from IS2 and IS1. And they turned IS3 into one of the best game modes that we still have going on. It's definitely very innovative and revolutionary for its time. Still is. But hopefully, we can see some more innovation coming in 2024. With IS5 and the rest. And IS4, we still don't have IS4. IS4 is going to come out late February, right after our summer event next year. So there's that. I still haven't gotten to finishing ending 3 and 4. I've only finished up to ending 2. So I still gotta get through the fucking RNG in trying to unlock ending 3 and 4. I still gotta do that. But yeah, IS3. Still one of the best game modes in all of Arknights. But after IS3, it was time. It was time for the limited event. The limited event at the first half of Arknights 2023. This was our introduction to one of the strongest operators in all of Arknights. The altar to end all altars. The woman who changed Arknights from a tower defense game to a tower offense game. The woman who power crept Phantom. One of the original 6 stars in Arknights. It was the premiere of Texas, the Omertosa. Our altar to our favorite Penguin Logistics Wolf Girl, and the continuation of her arc into Syracuse, along with her rivalry with Lapland. The event Il Syracusano, game-changing for Arknights as a whole. Not because Vigil has remained useless all throughout his lifetime. What was Hypergriff ever thinking with him? He might as well not exist. We also got Penance from this event. Penance, who in her own right is a powerhouse, but all of them overshadowed by the release of the Black Altar Wolf Girl, Texas the Omertosa. One of the strongest operators in the game. People thought that she would just completely warp the game. And she did, actually. In all honesty, she did. She completely warped the game all around her. And since then, Arknights has not stayed the same. Hello, Godo! Aside from that, we had so many banger skins in this event. We had so many live 2D skins premiere for so many fan-favorite characters. We got our Epoch skin for Honeyberry. We got a Melodiosa skin for Sora when she appeared in this event. We got a live 2D skin, another one for many limited characters like Rasmontis and my wife Neural the Radiant Knight. And we also got a live 2D skin for Passenger. They were just dumping all of their live 2D skins in this event. It was amazing. Good times. Good fucking times. This event was S tier. Definitely one of the best events in all of Arknights. The quality of characters, the quality of the story with Syracuse, it was peak, it was Kino, it was cinema, it was all the buzzwords, it was noir. We got Syracuse in all of its mafia glory. But most of all, we have Texas. And least of all, we have Vigil. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Hold up, I will just pause because my chair is sinking. I have to readjust my chair. Hold up. My Chrome is hanging for some reason. Huh. Okay. There we go. I forgot Yato? Nah, I was trying to hype up Texas. The savior of all below IQ doctors like us, Texas. Penance. Penance, 380 pinch out solo, yeah. That was an interesting, clear video. Vigil is just okay. He just became a 5-star. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. You didn't have to do him like that. It was a 510 solo for Penance? Yeah, she's very strong. Unfortunately, she showed up in the previous standard banner a couple of days ago, but I didn't have any gold certs or any pulls to spare on her, unfortunately. And it was Mizuki on the gold cert shop, now that I remember. The Loopy was your favorite boss, not to mention the music? Yeah. I saw many a streamer rage to EX challenge mode the Loopy. That was fun. That whole event was fun. Unfortunately, we weren't making content for Arknights since then. So, I didn't get to stream it. We started later on in the year. But anyway, even the civilians in Siracusa were better than we got now. Yeah, the civilians in Siracusa, they didn't even deplete your life points if they got killed. Also, hold up, my in-game sanity is almost capped, so I'm just gonna run this in the background. Yeah, Siracusa, definitely an event to remember. It happened in the mid-year, so that was the end of the first and second quarters. That was the end of the first and second quarter, methinks. You guys didn't get to see me regretting not having 3-level defenders. I had Nyan back then. That was my only level defender. So yeah, there was that. Right after Siracusa, we had Break the Ice, the rerun for Break the Ice, in which we're finally gonna get the sequel for 6 months later down the line with Deckenbrecker's event. But this was an event that happened early in 2022. We had the rerun in the same month of that year, in the same month this year. And so far, I think we need way more Kerag events. I want to see a whole Kerag arc of them dealing with the North and shit. We're happily gonna get more updates in whatever's happening in the north of Terra with IS-4. But this was also a change of pace because we finally got to go to a very snowy country. We've been to Yan, we've been to Ursus, who's snowy in itself, but not as snowy as Kerag. We've been to Sargon, but Break the Ice was also a breath of fresh air. It was a breath of fresh air. Just because we got some more Fahrenheit content with Kira. But I'ma keep yapping while I let this trailer play. Break the Ice. So Kerag was an isolationist country, isolated from the rest of the world. Silver Ash, Silver Daddy, wanted to bring commerce in, wanted to bring capitalism in so he could make money with Carland trade. He wanted to bring the trains in, but unfortunately all the other leaders in Kerag were opposed to it. And it was a very political event with many political machinations going on. We had some actual Praminix content. It's very nice whenever we get to see the Silver Ash siblings all interact, even though if some of them hate each other.
もっと楽に勝てるように
We got our welfare in
今以上
Kiera.
に強くなってみせるよ
We got one of our 5-star operator premieres in Aurora. And then we got the premiere of Gnosis, who is by far one of the best debuffers in the game. Gnosis's Gold Cert premiere will be very soon. He's gonna be premiering some part in the first quarter of 2024 in the Gold Cert shop, and I'm saving all of my Gold Certs for him whenever he shows up. And that event in itself, it was also one of the events where Doctor played a very integral part in a side story. Doctor had to contend with Silver Ash, and they had to play some 5D chess against each other and their plans. So I also appreciate that about it, because we rarely see Doctor participate in side events. But him going against Silver Ash and Silver Ash matching up against the Doctor was also a sight to see. It's still half a year till Gnosis. I'ma save all my gold certs for that boy. I wanna play with some freeze. I wanna play with some freeze. So yeah, that was the Break the Ice rerun. It only happened for 1 week. If Risson didn't tell Kelsey to get to the north, we would never get to Sammy. The BGM of Break the Ice sounds like Mortal Kombat. We didn't get Frostleaf, Frost Module, Sag. Yeah. That's never gonna happen. Maybe we'll get a Frostleaf Altar sometime in the future, but that's copium. You see Aurora block 3 dogs not liking the game? Oh yeah, she doesn't have that much block. She's a duelist, just like Eunectes. Was Heidi here? I don't think Heidi was here. Not quite too sure. But anyway, there was that. The Break the Ice event. So, after the Break the Ice event, we finally had CC11. Was it CC11? CC11. Fake Waves. I'm gonna repeat it straight up. I think this was one of the best years for CC. Just because of the vibe of it all. Of the ending of an era. God damn it, YouTube! YouTube! Stop! What the fuck? What is up? I'm gonna refresh. Come on, dog. There we go. I always appreciate that CC always comes with different styles. Not only different songs, but different styles of songs every time they come around. Not every CC song is gonna be for everyone, but we got to see this song performed in the 2023 concert. I think it was one of the better songs performed in that concert. We also got... Yeah, we also got... What's her name? I forgot her name. We got her skin for this event. My memory is starting to get hazy and shit. I don't even remember how Fake Waves went. But yeah. Oh, hold up. You take CC rerun over Pinch Out? Nah, it's not an event, it's just another dead week for you. So anyway, after CC11, we had one of the more surprising events in Arknights in What the Firelight Cast, because this was a side story that had direct connection with the main story. Yeah, Acid Drop. We got Acid Drop for CC11's event. We got her skin. Unfortunately, nowadays, doesn't look like we'll have enough new season CC points to get every single old skin, because they tripled in price. Hypergriff, they tripled in price. How are we gonna get the old skins? Fuck. So they still have that to address. Not gonna lie, you started using Acid Drop 2 times more often after this skin. That how it be. They give you a skin that looks shiny and clean, and then they make you level up an operator to use your resources. And then you play around with it. That how it be. But anyway, we had What the Firelight Casts, a side story event that had direct connections with the main story, the main Victorian arc of Arknights. You could consider this an actual sequel to episode 9, with everything that happened with Dublin, and Bagpipe, and Silac, and Reed. During this event, not gonna lie, I forgot to read it. I only got to read it months later, after remembering that I forgot to read it when episode 12 came out. So, this was also one of the better written events of the year. It was tackled in a very mirrored way, mirroring the journey between Reed and her sister Iblana. We had some more characterization with Bagpipe. Bagpipe, who I've once said was a low tier in terms of story, finally got the characterization that she deserved. She was out of the partner zone with Horn and Chen, and she finally got her starring spot where she got to butt heads with Reed actually. And Reed the Flame Shadow, who was the premiere of our first 6-star pharmacist. She was our first damage healer as a 6-star. I 100% regret not getting her now, but there were a shit ton of S tier banners this year that there was no way I'd risk pulling Reed Alter when one of the biggest limited banners was to come very soon, right after. So we got our first skin for Gigi, released back then, who will also eventually get her live 2D summer skin later on. But this was her first skin, which was very much celebrated. Nami definitely cooked on that one. Mansfield Break got the record restoration. And so far, this event was low-key very good. I didn't get to read it during the actual event. The event mechanics was pretty great. Okay, I strike that. Invisibility is always an annoying mechanic, especially with the reeds, especially with the fire, the spreading fire in this event. It's interesting at least. But there was a lot of micromanaging with this event, with the fire and both the invisible Dublin enemies. At least the story was good. At least the story was good. Okay, so another criminal joins Rhodes Island. Well, at least Reed is repenting for all her war crimes. And she kind of left Rhodes Island during this event. She left Rhodes Island in order to start her own Dublin, in order to fight back against her sister. Solo stalling Iblana with Matoy Maru for the entire match felt fantastic. Taught her module, you kneel. Yeah, I will just take a bite of my biscuit. Being a war criminal or child soldier is a basic requirement for joining Rhodes Island. True and real. True and real. You mentioned 5-star Smug Cat. Yeah, I don't remember much from what's her name, the Green Cat. Starts with an M. The Green Cat. I don't remember much from her. She's very smug. And she has water powers. That's all I remember. But anyway. Anyway. Hold up, my chair's singing again. So, after What the Firelight Casts, we finally had our next limited event. It was our Chinese New Year event, which happens in the middle of the year because of fucked up global timing. We have Where Vernal Winds Will Never Blow, the continuation of the Sui siblings saga. The Sui siblings saga, by far, my current favorite ongoing arc in Arknights, because you could just tell they are building up to something big and climactic with the release of one new Sui sibling every single year. Last year we had the Blue Woman. This year we had the release of the first big brother, Chongyue. Our resident martial artist. Y'all already know how I feel about Chongyue. I don't really like him as a character, just because he's based off Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan's kind of an asshole in real life. So I didn't pull for Chongyue, unfortunately. The story in itself was also peak. It was very wuxia? What's that? Was that genre of Chinese martial arts again? Like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and Shaolin Soccer, and wuxia, methinks? It reminded me a lot about those old movies. And Chongyue himself turned out to be, well, he's not really that much of a meta character. He hasn't had that much impact as a brawler card, mainly because he has a more advanced toolkit than Mountain does, and Mountain's a lot easier to use. Not quite sure where Chongyue is actually placed in power scaling, but this whole event was still peak as usual. We had the continuation with the Sui siblings dealing with a bunch of Farinmits, not just their evil older brother who was puppeteering things in the background, but also with another Farinmit that showed up in the fortress city of Shangshu? Is that the name of the city? I forget. But anyway, we also got our first live 2D skin for Ling. That skin itself had some controversy along with it, because when it first came out, the face wasn't that... It didn't look like Ling, so there was a lot of controversy with that. But they updated it just in time for the global release. So yeah, overall, this was a great event. Lin has turned into a competent operator nowadays, especially with her module. She's been very useful in the most recent Pinch Out event. And once again, I am regretting not pulling for niche characters that released all throughout the year, just because... Okay, shut up. Shut up, Blue Woman! Blue Woman, shut up! I'm talking! There were so many niche operators this year that were released in between mega meta operators. Like, it was hilarious. There were so many victim banners that just could not survive the pulls and people were saving for the much more important quote-unquote meta banners of the year. And unfortunately, Lin fell into one of those. But it didn't really matter because, surprise, surprise, the Chongyue event was actually one of the most financially successful banners and months that Arknights has ever had since peak. During the Chongyue banner, Global plus China plus Japan plus everyone else, they broke the peak of revenue since the launch of Arknights, and that doesn't happen for gacha games. That doesn't happen, maybe unless you're MiHoYo, but for other gacha games, that doesn't happen. Breaking the peak of your launch revenue, it's very rare. So Chongyue's event, beating that while not having a quote-unquote meta operator, was actually quite wild. It was wild. Chongyue isn't meta, Lin isn't meta, But it turned out to be the second most successful event for Arknights this year. The most successful one, we'll get to that much later. It also broke the record, it broke the revenue record which Chongyu's event had. You don't see Chungus use that much nowadays, to be honest. Yeah, you know Arknights became #1 revenue at that time? Yep. Well, not #1 revenue. We didn't have that for global. For Japan and China, yes. For global, no. For Japan, China, yes. But yeah, they broke their peak revenue for that month. It was very surprising, it was very wild, it was very out of nowhere. But it was just the beginning for things to come of Arknights' best year yet. Global too busy with Dragon Ball Z. Maybe Japanese Arknights players are mostly female? Not quite sure about that, but I'm pretty sure by just anecdotal stuff that Arknights' female player base is actually pretty sizable compared to other gacha games, because Arknights low-key has some of the best male characters in many a gacha game. Like, ever since a certain point, with maybe starting with Lumen, a lot of the 6-star male characters that have been released have been very fleshed out, they've been very well designed, they've had integral parts in their stories, and I think that's caused a lot of the increase in the female player base, and not just the female player base, the male enjoying player base. So yeah, male Knights enjoyers were eating good this year. They got Milnar, do people like Minimalist? I don't know about that. They got Vigil, okay, maybe not Vigil. They got Chongyue, they got Stainless. There were so many great male Knights this year, and we're still ending it off with Executor. Male Knights enjoyers are eating great. They're eating great. You're surprised Japan even has money in Arknights, implying they spent 20 million on horse racing girls every month? Yeah. Uma Musume. Horse girl racing gacha. I think it was one of the... Yeah, Chongyu's event was one of the only months in the year where the top earning mobile game in Japan wasn't the horse racing gacha game. It was Arknights. And that was wild. That was wild. Male Knights also getting lessons soon. Yeah, we're gonna get another goat boy. I'm just gonna have another bite of my biscuit. Arknights needs to make a horse racing mode, it would instantly double the revenue. We were just talking about China regulating gacha games, and now we're thinking of more predatory ways of monetization to add to Arknights? Anyway. Ayo! Hello, Kuro! Happy holidays, everyone! Thank you for the €2. Thank you for the €2 super chat, friendo. I appreciate it. Happy holidays to everyone, by the way. I forgot to even say that at the start of the stream. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you guys celebrate during this holiday season. I hope you all have a very chill time, a very cozy time this holiday season. But anyway, so after Chongyu's event, we had the rerun to the Blue Woman event, Invitation to Wine. Ah, the Blue Woman event. The Blue Woman event. Who would have thought that a year ago, after saying that the Blue Woman was overpowered, just because she could solo majority of the story modes in all of Arknights, we wouldn't be worrying about the Blue Woman anytime soon because we got some bigger power creep problems to deal with. This was also the release of Lee back then. But more importantly, the Blue Woman came out. Her and her dragons. She still didn't have her module back then. She could only summon 2 Mega Dragons. But she could still solo most of the game modes in Arknights. This was probably one of the best times to start Arknights because if you started out with Ling in your account, you basically won the game. You could solo the game as easy as possible. But yeah, Ling is the least of our problems nowadays, especially with DPS operators changing the way the game plays. With Ling, we could sacrifice 6 deployment slots just to summon 3 dragons, but she's pretty balanced compared to what we have nowadays. It's a Chinese New Year event of last year. Definitely one for the books. I remember it very vividly because I think it had one of the best boss fights in the entire game where you fought against a mirror of the Sui. It was definitely one of the most memorable boss fights in the entire game. The mechanics were not as obtuse as the original Dusk event because we only had extra lives on enemy mobs. At least those are easier to deal with. These Chinese events always have very obtuse mechanics, but at least they're not as bad as the black and white mechanics of Dusk. Of Return to Dusk? Was that the name of that event? I'm gonna need you to stop playing while I'm yapping, YouTube. YouTube! Stop! Cease! Desist! God damn. It's always hanging. Why is it? Oh? Okay. People who started with Ling actually had to learn how to play the game instead of using Buzz. Southeast Asians never got snowy weather. Even 4-season country got winter season. In Southeast Asia, we got summer for a whole 3 months. Yeah, we only have 2 weathers here in the Philippines. We have hot and wet. There's only hot and wet. And sometimes they happen together. It is both hot and wet. It becomes damp. So yeah, I don't even have snow here. The last time I saw snow was when I stayed in San Francisco a few years ago to visit my dad who was doing some research there for a bit. But I haven't seen snow in years. But we Filipinos, we love our Christmas season. It is a Catholic country after all. We got our lights everywhere, we got our Christmas songs everywhere, Mariah Carey's everywhere in the department store. But anyway, yeah. So Ling was definitely an operator of all time. Period. So Hold up. Replay? Where you live, we don't have spring, autumn anymore. We literally changed from t-shirts into winter jackets. Oh my god. We're all gonna die of climate change. Oh my god. Some countries are gonna sink to the bottom of the sea. That's gonna be fun within the next 100 years. That's gonna be fun. But anyway, after the Ling rerun, we had a continuation of Chongyue's event, a splinter off of the Sui siblings saga. We got a death in Chunfen, and the premiere of Chobai as a playable character. By this time, we were already making content for Arknights. We started during the Chongyue event, and we just kept the ball rolling, and look where we are now. We're still making Arknights content all the way to the end of the year, and we're part of the Arknights content creator program. We've signed up for the Enfield content creator program. I remember for this event, I made a story review of everything that went on. I don't know why I stopped doing story reviews. Maybe because they took a lot of time. But this event was pretty good. I remember this event like the back of my hand. We got Saga content. Saga enjoyers got a lot of meat from this event because we got Saga just butting heads with the village chief and shit. It was a mystery. It was a murder mystery involving Chobai and her little Shota, which she adopted at the end of the event. Unfortunately for Chobai, she was also a victim of the meta banners that were coming all throughout the year. So a lot of people skipped Chobai. Not quite sure where she stands now among power scaling, but as we go on reminiscing about all these banners that I missed, I am starting to regret that I didn't pull for most of them just because I had to save for many of the meta operators that were coming out this year. But of course, I then remember that I probably had an easier time because I had Milnar, Texas, and eventually the next limited executor to come. So I think I had an easier time just using up my currency for the meta operators this year. So I still have to catch up on getting these characters through gold certs instead, unfortunately, because right after this event... Hold up. Why is YouTube like this? Why is YouTube like this? Stop. Half of your roles this year went to Chobai, your beloved. If Chobai got at least one fan, we know it's Godo. Number 2 after Dorothy, the Forgotten Operator. Limited over limited. Yeah. Not a lot of people, in hindsight, pulled for Chobai because we already knew. We already knew from foresight with CN that one of the most impactful operators of all time was going to come in the Monster Hunter collab, A Flurry to the Flame. If you didn't pull for Texas, you definitely had to pull for Yato because these two completely warped the way. Arknights is currently played now. It changed it from a tower defense game to a tower offense game. And by God, we got so many of these meta warping operators throughout the year. The power creep has been wild. Whether we like it or not, the power creep has been happening and it has been wild. During this event, I didn't actually get to read the Monster Hunter story. I completely forgot about it. All I did was the stages. We had a Rathalos fighting stream. I remember that. We spent like an hour fighting EX Rathalos. I remember you friendos helping out with that. We had the release of our 1-star and our altars with Rathalos Norcorn. We got Yato pretty early on in our pulls, and then I only had 80 pulls to spend on this banner. And for the last 10 pulls that I got for free, I finally got Rathalos Norcorn. That was great. That was a great way to end the event. I actually read the Monster Hunter event just recently, just this month. I caught up and finally read the event. It's pretty good. We finally got to Hingashi. Hingashi was pretty ignored all throughout past years in Arknights. We spent a lot of time in so many other countries, but Hingashi was pretty ignored considering Japan is Arknights' second biggest market. So it's pretty interesting. It was pretty great that we finally got some Arknights Japan content. We got some Hunter content with our collab with Capcom and Monster Hunter. Hopefully, when this event comes back, we get some new operators. Because judging by the Rainbow Six rerun, they're getting new operators. So we already have a precedent in expecting... Stop, YouTube! Okay. So judging by the Rainbow Six rerun, which is also getting new operators to come with it, we already have precedent to expect that when the Monster Hunter event reruns, if it ever does, that's still a thing that we could worry about, we could get a different alter. Another character wearing Monster Hunter armor. Thank God solo banners get reruns. This time you're ready for Dorothy? Yeah, Dorothy's coming back. Now that... Actually, no. We still have a lot of meta operators coming soon. Aya's gonna be a meta operator. Typhon's gonna be a meta operator. I wish you luck if you're pulling for Dorothy. Jessica is gonna be a meta operator for IS4. Degenbrecker is gonna be a meta operator. We're gonna have a ton of victim banners next year. Holy shit. It was a year of the rat in China and year of executors on Terra. Weird thing, Chongyue is the most big in revenue, and Yato is not like another limited. She got big revenue. She didn't get much big revenue after she released. Yeah, that was surprising. You remember using 6 different ops and even borrowing Suzerain just to deal with 490k HP boss. Which one was that? The Rathalos? Was that Rathalos? I think Monster Hunter players had an easier time dealing with Rathalos just because you had to fight him in the exact same way that you fight Rathalos in Monster Hunter. You stun them out of the air, you cut off their tail, and then you beat on them when they're stunned. That was the same strategy that they wanted you to fight him with in Arknights. I didn't really notice that he had millions of HP. I just played the mechanics for once. I didn't brute force it. So yeah, I think Rathalos was pretty well designed in all honesty. It was my first experience in... it was my first time experiencing a collab, a gameplay collab in Arknights, because I never got to do the Rainbow Six one. I was way too late for that. So judging from the Monster Hunter event, I'm actually pretty excited about the Destiny 2 event, which we have absolutely zero news since we got the first announcement. Hypergraph, where's my Destiny 2 event? I've been waiting so long. I've fallen out of love with Destiny since then. Come on, dog. I haven't touched Destiny in a year. In legitimately a year. I haven't even touched Beyond Light. And I've stopped playing. So I need this Destiny event, Hypergriff. Please announce something in the January stream. There's gonna be a stream. The JP stream is gonna be... Is it JP or Chinese? Either way, we're gonna have our next limited event next month with Aya. And usually at around the same time, they're gonna have announcement of the spring event, which is the Sui Sibling Saga for China. And hopefully, we get some more information about upcoming collabs. Hypergriff? Come on, dog. Come on, John Hypergriff Lowlight. Ranger Altar, 12 Elf Altar, Durin Altar, Durin the Destroyer. We're still waiting on that one. Durin Altar would bring a meta to a whole new level. You gotta try the Rainbow Six event. Your phone will become a stove after that. Destiny collab left both Destiny player base and Arknights player base confused. I have no doubts that the Arknights writers are gonna find a way to make a very compelling Destiny storyline. No doubt about it. It's just that I'm getting impatient. I want to play. But anyway, after... What was that? After... Okay. So after the Monster Hunter event, we had Guide Ahead, which is our first foray into the Laterano arc of Arknights. We're finally getting into Laterano, everything going on with the Sancta, everything going on with Mustima, with Lemuel, Exia's sister. The premier operator for this event was Fiametta. Another victim banner to everything going on this year. And so far, I think this event had the most memorable soundtrack by far. At least for this year. We got a mix of drum and bass, of techno plus church choirs. What is this called? Let's call it church step. Church step? Let's call it church step. We got our welfare operator in, what's his face? What's his face? The Sancta, who's taking care of this little girl. This little girl became a new saintess. Yeah, we got enforcer. We got the premiere of Kazemaru. More importantly, we got the premiere of our next 6-star, our first non-limited 6-star AoE sniper in Fiametta, who does a shit ton of damage. So once again, Fiametta actually becoming a victim banner. I just muted because I sneezed. So anyway, yeah, the Laterano event was the beginning of many things. Where we continued it off currently with Executor's event, and it will splinter off into like God damn it. It's gonna splinter off into Lathanian when we get to Arturia's banner for her own event. So far, once again, Arknights expanding its storytelling, not just in a vertical way, in a linear way with its stories, but in a horizontal way. Many different events have splintered off into different plot lines. For those that don't remember, the Laterano event didn't actually start with Guide Ahead. It started all the way back with Code of Brawl. Because Code of Brawl is when we got first introduced to Mastima. And Code of Brawl splintered off into Il Siracusano and splintered off into Guide Ahead. So a lot of the very early events in Arknights splintered off and created branching pathways of storytelling for Terra, which is what I appreciate the most about the world building in Arknights. Every time you hear the Laterano OST, it means it's time to convert. In Destiny, didn't have any characters like Rainbow Six. It's a nameless character in a Destiny game. They have nameless characters that they could use as gacha characters. I did make 3 videos on that, speculating on what could happen with the Destiny collab. I speculated that it would be way too much to kill an existing character and turn them into a guardian, because they would lose all their memories, and I think that's just bad writing if you want to turn an existing character into a Destiny guardian just to make them an alter. So I think it'd be easier just to bring an existing Destiny character to become the gacha character. Guide Ahead is still your top 1 story in Arknights. Absolute peak writing. Yeah, it was also peak. I do remember that. We got some world building between the Sancta, especially with the Sarkaz, continuing off into Executor's event. Still going to continue off with Arturia's event. We got some very interesting progression with the idea of fallen angels and shit. Good shit. Good shit. Beagle Guardian. We still don't know if Beagle's gonna die. We've all been speculating that Beagle eventually dies, but nothing has happened yet. Nothing has happened yet. But anyway, yeah. Guide Ahead. Pretty kino and peak. Unfortunately, Fiametta suffered as a victim banner because we got so many great banners this year. But anyway, after that, it was time. After Guide Ahead, it was time for the end of an era. The final contingency contract season of Season 1 Operation Base Point. I'm gonna cry.
What's it gonna take to
I'm gonna cry watching this. We got the best clears, some of the top clears in all of CC Season 1 being showcased in every single regional version of this trailer. I'm gonna cry. We got CC4. We got CC3. I think the first season of Contingency Contract went out with an absolute bang. Contingency Contract Season 1. It started off with rock, with heavy metal, and it ended off with rock and heavy metal. And not only that, we ended off with one of the most iconic bosses in all of Arknights, the Red Weeb. Red, depending on the localization. We got the Red Weeb and his katana, who could one-shot almost every single defender that you could have. You either had to stall him with pushbacks or slows, or you had to tank him. I remember tanking Reed. Stop, cease, desist. I remember tanking Reed with a combination of Shining, Nyan's S3, and Hoshiguma I borrowed to increase defenses by over 200%. That was the only time I could reliably tank Reed on max on Risk 18. While we were playing Arknights, Red was studying the blade. The best CC. Revenge CC beta because I got Risk 16 in the past and you cleared it with the same team. Yeah. People wanted to clear it with the teams that they brought to the first CC. And it was definitely a rush of nostalgia for a lot of people. I think... Yeah, I definitely think Red Weeb Red or Reed is going down as one of the best bosses in Arknights history. Just because of how hyped this event was. And the things he had to do to stop his ass. Like, the different kinds of strats that you could come up with to stall him, to DPS him down, to survive his 20-second immunity when he reached phase 2. If you chose that tag, it definitely pushed CC to the limits. It was a very memorable season finale for CC. It will go down in the books as one of the best events in all of Arknights. You used Heavy Rain and Deep Color S2, 4000 HP plus dodge against Red. Yeah, it was the end of an era. Unfortunately, now we have Pinch Out and the next season of CC. Hopefully, Hypergriff will take all the feedback, all the negative feedback that they've received about Pinch Out and CC Season 2, and they change things for the better. We have yet to see that happen. Hypergriff, the ball is in your court. The ball is in your court. Imagine you stalled him only with dodge rate, with Mayor robots. The RNG on that must have been insane. So anyway, after the season finale of CC, we finally got the continuation of the main story and the introduction to Low-Key, one of the strongest operators in the game, not just from DPS, but from pure utility. We got the premiere of episode 12 of Arknights. We got All Quiet Under the Thunder. I genuinely believe, aside from a later event which we'll talk about, this is one of the best story events that we got the entire year, and that's to be expected from Arknights' main story because I think this story came at a very, I'm not gonna say opportune time, because that's a bit wrong to say, because we know by now that the Victorian War between the Sarkaz, the homeless Sarkaz, and Victoria as a whole, it was very reminiscent of current ongoing events happening at this time during the premiere of this event. Innes was definitely a star of the show, but I think the subplot between Siege and the rest, and especially all the subplot between the Sarkaz and the idea of a home to return to, the idea of an endless cycle of hatred. I think this event came at the best and worst time, especially considering ongoing events that started this part of the year, with the genocide happening in Palestine right now, with the IDF and the state of Israel committing an ongoing ethnic cleansing and genocide in Palestine. And it came at this chapter, it mirrored a lot of things that was going on in real life and still is going on. So it definitely had much bigger impact than I think Hypergriff intended it to have. And I think it was all the better for it, because it was a very humanistic event. I remember a lot of people talking about this, discussing this event, and talking about how the politics of Arknights has evolved over the years. Like, I've always said that Arknights is a very political game. It is a very political... Okay, stop. Okay, it crashed. Stop! Cease! This is... Goddamn fucking YouTube! My train of thought. So I've always said that Arknights has always been a political game. And the writers have never been afraid to write their politics into Arknights. And I think episode 12 was definitely an eye-opening moment for many people, and a culmination of all that build-up in Arknights' very humanistic approach to its storytelling and writing in a way that people didn't expect Arknights to mirror so much of what was currently going on in the world, and it felt very real. It felt very real. It felt very genuine from a writer's point of view, as also a reader's point of view, that the cycle of hatred between the homeless Sarkaz, who are just taking out their anger and vengeance, on the entire world for subjugating them, for oppressing them for so long, that we can understand from the Sarkaz's point of view that they were wronged for so much of history, but it also points a light at the cycle will not end with a Sarkaz. The cycle won't end with a Sarkaz Lord of Fiends, because if you're a Sarkaz Lord, because a Sarkaz Lord of Fiends would only experience the magnitude of the entire history of Sarkaz oppression, and they would never consider peace as an option, which is why Amiya as a character is so very important to the story. Because in order to stop the cycle of violence between the Sarkaz and every other race on Terra, they need someone that is outside of the system, like Amiya, to take on the mantle of the Lord of Fiends. Someone that can break the cycle of hatred between everyone. And I think it was a very poignant moment in Arknights as a game. It's definitely something to remember, especially considering what is currently going on in the world. So, there was that. It was a very important event. But most of all, you Gacha players. You guys enjoyed that story. You guys got your Innis. You guys got a whole new chapter, but I think it was, in hindsight, All Quiet Under the Thunder is gonna be one of the more memorable events just because of the unique circumstances that brought about its release and the unique circumstances around the time that it came out. So there's that. It's definitely an important story in Arknights moving forward. Just from in-game ramifications with stuff about Amiya, stuff about the Sarkaz, stuff about Siege, so many things. But yeah, I think episode 12 is my personal favorite event of the year. Just from that alone. Episode 12, my favorite event of the year. It was great. It was political. It was well written. It's moving Arknights forward in very interesting ways. And I can't wait to see the climax of this entire Victorian arc. Because so far it's been building up. It's been building up to such grand scales. We got the Dukes coming in. We got Rhodes Island coming in. We got the Sarkaz Royal Court. And then we got Dublin. Dublin is still the wild card in all of this. We got Reed, we have Eblana. Both of their Dublin factions. How will the Irish analog in Arknights find their own land? Because Dublin themselves also mirror some of the Sarkaz plight in that they were ethnically displaced and cleansed out of their homes, out of their land on Victoria. So they don't have their own land anymore. How will Eblana, Reed, and Siege face each other? It's all gonna be very interesting moving forward into Arknights. So many different moving parts. And I 100% trust the Arknights writers know what to do. I trust them. Full trust. They're gonna give us a great story, a very human story. And that is why episode 12, All Quiet Under Thunder, is my favorite Arknights event of all time, maybe. Actually. Thank Arknights for their realistic stories. From this event, you learn Defend is useless, so you need a big chunk of HP. Scotty, OG, Nectes, and Quartz were the MVPs for this chapter. Yeah. You had to fight Manfred. You needed a lot of true damage just to get through Manfred. You had to use Mudrock to bait the bombs that he was dropping. It was a fun event, gameplay-wise. Even the first Arknights release, COVID spread throughout the world. Oh yeah. When Arknights first released, that did happen. Kristen said only Ager can unite Terra at the moment. Friston's a boomer. Friston is a 1,000-year-old boomer. What does he know? So anyway, there was that. But who would have thunk that after this monumental event in episode 12, we would have the most successful event in Arknights history. The biggest event with the biggest ramifications, the most financially successful event in terms of revenue, and the most hype event that we've ever had, which even led to a Baldur's Gate 3 writer to praise Lone Trail. We had the premiere of the finale of the Rhine Lab arc of Arknights, Lone Trail, with the premiere of one of the best trailers they've ever released for this game. This was a culmination of build-up starting from Mansfield Break all the way up to Dorothy's Vision, with the side stories of Saria and Silence and Ifrit in the manga. Everything has built up to this moment where things in Arknights would change forever. The sky of Terra was about to be breached. People will be allowed to dream again of reaching for the stars, all thanks to a doggo. To a doggo that led her way all the way up to the stars. This was also the same time when Enfield started ramping back up from the dead. Enfield had been silent. This event coinciding with their marketing scheme of releasing teasers and the eventual live technical tests. This was an all-time S-tier event in Arknights history. Just Arknights as a brand in general. This was an all-time peak month to be an Arknights player. Arknights changed forever with this event. Not just because Global finally got it 6 months later, but also the ramifications between everything, the sky of Terra finally blown open. People can dream of reaching the stars, of dreaming bigger than just Terra. The Sarkaz could maybe dream of finding a home somewhere else that isn't on Terra. Most of all, we got conclusions of so many different character dynamics between Saria and Silence, Saria and what's her face? The doggo. God damn, I forgot her name. With Silence, with Ifrit and Rosmontis together, who paired up as friends. That was great. With Ifrit and her abuser, with Rosmontis and her abuser. This event was peak. This event was fucking peak. Aside from episode 12, this has got to be the best, definitive, best event that Arknights has ever had. By far. It was a new age. Enfield was ramping up. The trailers dropped. The technical test went live. The hype was at its maximum, and Arknights broke its revenue that it broke back at the Chongyu event. It broke it a second time this year. It broke its peak revenue 2 times this year. First with Chongyu event, then with Lone Trail. It was wild. We got Mulesies, we got Holiak, we got so many banger skins. They keep dropping all these banger live TV skins during these big events. This one's for the books. Definitely.
アンチオリジニウム通信ラインはアクティベートされた。受信
Kelsey's remnant skin, still to this day confusing people on Reddit whether it's canon or not. When evidence points that it's more canon than it is not canon. That's for sure. Lone Trail. What a fucking event. All time, best of all time. Stop, cease, desist, YouTube! Okay. Longest stories you've ever read. Lone Trail is technically the longest story in Arknights. It is the longest story in terms of Chinese characters. Arknights did what Genshin couldn't. We proved the sky is a lie. I don't know what that means. I don't play Genshin. I like how they make colors vibing this event like 1960s. It was genuinely cool. Yeah. Half Cup of Rice made a great video about the design of Lone Trail. It's a very good watch. I do recommend it. Nori ZC remains one of the best main artists working on Arknights. They're so far my favorite artists when it comes to operators. So Lone Trail was an event made specifically for me. Kukulkan revival side story when for Holiak, maybe when we get another to be continued event, we could have some continuation with what happened between Holiak and Friston. So yeah, the most respected enemy boss we've ever had. You can't hate her. Yeah, Kristen's boss fight, one of the most memorable boss fights we've had in a long time, especially with the balls, with the gravity mechanics. It definitely pushed a lot of the current ongoing design ethos that we have with the fast redeploys, the shit ton amount of damage that we have with current operators. It definitely helped that if you had Texas or Yato, you could make work of Kristen and the balls. Them balls. We played with a lot of balls in this event. But yeah, Lone Trail, one of the best events of all time. All the 4-block defender havers were finally proud. Yeah, you could block the rockets. The rockets and those guards that needed 4-block. They also reduce a lot of blocks, so having a 4-guard defender was pretty useful. I just used Nyan because she could temporarily get 4-block, and she could give everyone else +1 block. I remember that. It was fun. The stream for those EX stages was one of the most fun streams we've had throughout this year. So anyway, there was that. Lone Trail. After Lone Trail, we were sort of rounding out the end of the year with a few more reruns, a few more events. After Lone Trail, we had the rerun for Still to Fair Novice. Still to Fair Novice. I remember spending 230 pulls for Spectre Altar and getting 5 Irene in exchange. I've never forgiven Hypergrip for that. Ever since then, I've been saving 300 pulls for every single limited banner. I do not forgive Hypergrip. No. Ever since then, I have trauma from Still to Fair Novice. Fuck. Oh my god, this... To this day, I still don't have Spectre Altar. I'm waiting for Arturia's banner just so I could spark her. Till then, I could have gotten her during Lone Trail, but I held off on it just to save. And a year and a half later, I still don't have Spectre Altar. I have 5 Irenes! I have a 5-pot Irene! 5 4-pot, whatever. And this year, we also got a lot of new players, actually. I don't know if you friendos noticed, but I definitely noticed a whole lot more new players coming into Arknights. Especially streamers, VTubers. Hypergriff was definitely doing more marketing campaigns to get people to play the game. Iron Mouse was sponsored to play the game. Connor got brought back to play the game. We got a whole bunch more Japanese VTubers entering the scene. I've followed like a handful of Japanese VTubers that have recently gotten into Arknights. Even if I don't understand them, I just like watching them and their characters just play Arknights. This year has definitely been great. Not just financially, but player base wise. Arknights has grown so much. Not just in China, in Japan, in global. There was definitely one time in the year where global, I think, got high enough revenue in the App Store. It wasn't number 1, but it was high enough. The player base so far, I'm kind of yeah, the player base so far, I think it is very healthy. The game in itself has been a successful and consistent live service that is still gaining new players. The anime also contributed to a lot of that, especially with people picking up the anime Season 1 and Season 2 of Perish and Frost around this time. Perish and Frost was also running and premiering. So a lot of things happened this year. Not just inside the game of the Arknights, but outside of it. Enfield, the whole marketing thing with that. It really does feel like Hypergriff is setting Arknights up to be their premier brand. We could definitely see that with Griffline and their new studio, Griffline, based in Singapore, to avoid them Chinese regulations. Yeah, we know exactly what that is for. So, Hold up. Before we address this nightmare. Arknights had a great year this year. So many new players, so many great events, the anime, a lot of transmedia stuff being released. We got so many animes. We got season 2 of Bearish and Frost. We got Lee's Detective Agency. We got KOB's Diary, which has been streaming for the past few weeks. It's been great. We got the mangas. We got the Rhinelab manga translated. We got the cooking manga still going on. We got Angelina's manga currently going on. There's so much transmedia stuff for Arknights going on. Like, Arknights is just booming this year. We realized that early on just from in-game stuff, but looking at outside stuff, out-of-game stuff, Arknights is growing. Arknights is getting big. Arknights Enfield showed up at the beginning of the Game Awards to announce signups for the Global Technical Test. Arknights is moving up. It is moving up. Kristen was stallable as long as there only 3 balls were optional. Weird is stalled this year. Cool, make it 6 spot for Irene. Eventually, whenever Irene comes back to the gold search shop, I will pick up one last Irene pod just to max her out. Or whenever there's a free guard token that I could get from some events. You're still using guides when still to Pharaoh ran? Thanks to that you don't have PTSD. Watching new players clearing first chapters is soul healing. I'm curious how far Taiwan server banner is right now. I think they recently had their Monster Hunter event. So that's how far they are right now. They recently had Monster Hunter event. We got the encyclopedia for Terra. Yeah, I might actually get that, to be honest. I might actually buy that for myself as a little Christmas gift. I love the story of Arknights. I want to get the encyclopedia. I should order that after I end stream. But anyway, yeah. A lot of things have gone on in Arknights. We are now in Pinch Out. We're now in December at the end of the year. This year has been monumental. It's been wild. It's been wild. Not just from all this game stuff, but I didn't actually fully plan on becoming an Arknights content creator this year. It was just a thing I did on a whim halfway along the year. I was already playing Arknights, and my YouTube channel was pretty much in hiatus for long times of the year whenever my other main game is not updating content. But I think it's been good for us as well. We've slowly and steadily kept this Arknights thing going on, and we're now at the end of the year, enjoying each other's company, being lonely on Christmas Eve. What is this? Christmas Eve? There's 2:40 a.m. on the 24th of December. Arknights can make a whole tabletop roleplay game with their world at this point. They did. They did. And I think they're also making a card game. They sent out surveys that they're thinking about making a card game. I also hope that they translate it, but I have my real life friends live so far away that I can't play tabletop with them. But anyway, yeah. So, our next event, one of the last events of the year, the beta for the upcoming CC season in Pinch Out Experimental Operation. Ah, Pinch Out. Pinch Out, Pinch Out, Pinch Out. Well, it is what it is. What do we have to say about Pinch Out? I think most people have already said their things on Pinch Out. It's a flawed game mode in many sense. The UI could be a lot better. The stacking has been less than ideal for non-endgame players. And I just hope we get some more transparency from Lowlight. in how these endgame events are supposed to go. Because they used to be so much more accessible for the mid-game and early game player with previous seasons of previous seasons of CC. Nowadays, it looks like the current design of endgame modes are going to match the power of our current roster of power creeped operators in Milnar, in Posey, in Shen, in all of those. So, Pinch Out wasn't that bad to you? I agree that it wasn't as bad as people set it out to be, but it's definitely, you definitely can't approach it in the same way that you approached previous CCs. Pinch Out definitely has a higher numbers floor that you have to reach, or you have to think a lot harder about the tags that you want to do, because it's definitely not designed with max risking or just blindly choosing tags. It's designed for you to choose the tags that you're most comfortable with, that your team could handle. Problem is, we're still at a power delta in Arknights where the average player's account is kind of struggling with higher rating Pinch Out, like 400 plus. And this problem's still going to continue on with CC, with the next season of CC, especially with all the valid criticisms about the reward structure, plus the difficulty of that upcoming game mode. Hopefully they could address things moving forward with CC2 of the next season. I definitely don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but it's definitely not as mid-core friendly as original CC. And those expectations clashed with the current realities of how current endgame modes are now designed, with stronger operators in mind, compared to when CC first started out. Side stages for Pooh were great though. That they were, I do agree. The side stages for Pinch Out were actually pretty good. They stayed around permanently throughout the entire event. You didn't have any FOMO. Well, you did have some FOMO with the quest that you had to complete, but they gave you a couple days to do that. But it was still better than just monitoring each day for the daily rotating map on CCs. So I do agree that the side maps were varied, and they did bring a breath of fresh air to just doing the main map. Those were fun. The main map in itself, I think it was just a matter of clashing expectations. People thought they were just gonna breeze through this Pinch Out mode like previous CC modes if they had a built account, but if you tried to get the 600 required points for max rating, there was a bit of a struggle, and you had to think a wee bit more. You had to think 1% more compared to how much you had to actually strategize with previous CCs. So I think the player base can adapt. I believe enough in the player base that we have smart enough guide makers and we have smart enough average players that they could adapt to all of this. The problem is the power delta. The power delta of what is currently in an average player's account compared to what Hypergriff thinks is in an average player's account, and how much damage they could do, or how much healing they could do, how much defenses they have. I think it's still unbalanced, but I also think our power creep problems could plateau as when they keep releasing these better designed operators like Degenbreaker, like Executor. Like, for sure, even though these characters are very strong in their own way, they're definitely way better designed at the base level than previous operators in past years. They're way stronger on general, and the more a mid-core account's library is filled up with those newer operators, I think it'll get better over time. But that's my wishful thinking. Hopefully, they don't power creep any more than what they've already done with Milnar. Milnar cannot be power crept in damage. That's just gonna be fucking ridiculous. No way, dude. So, I'm pretty okay with Pinch Out, and ongoing CC to be as hard as they are, but I do wish they were more mid-core friendly, especially with just reaching that max. Especially with just reaching the max rating that you need for the medal set. So there's that. Things could be improved. There are valid complaints about Pinch Out, but there are also valid praises that you'd give to Pinch Out and the upcoming CC mode. The reward structure is still something they have to fix. They tripled the prices on all the previous skins on CC. That's still a problem. Hypergriff, why did you do that? Why did you do that, huh? Your friend stalling the robot from night until morning. How crazy this event? Did they do max risk? What? Holy shit. You're using a 4-star guide, not gonna lie, but I'm not a CC fan in the first place, yeah. I don't think it's shameful to use a guide whenever you can't beat a stage in Arknights, because the way I see it is that Arknights is a gacha game, so it is inherently pay to win. There is no arguing about that. You could pay for in-game advantages in newer operators, especially since these newer operators are getting more powerful and powerful by as time goes on, that they release more and more of these. And there's a financial incentive to make things hard for players, to push them into pulling for stronger and stronger operators. That is obvious by the design of the monetization, so I don't think it's shameful at all to use a guide in order to try to cheat, to quote-unquote cheat a stage and beat it with help. I don't think it's shameful. I use a guide for like the first 4 months of playing, all the way up to Stultifera Novice. I still use the guide, and I've stopped using guides now that I have a fully built account. It's not shameful. No, sorry. The casino is trying to cheat you. The casino always wins. The casino wants you to spend on more powerful operators for its increasingly harder game modes, so fair is fair in Love and War. Watch a guide. Watch a guide. Don't give a shit. Do what you guys need to do to optimize your fun in playing a gacha game. Because Hypergriff is doing as much as they can to get as much money out of you. So you might as well do the same and optimize the fun out of a gacha game. Even if that means using a guide, even if that means watching story summaries on YouTube, whatever. Do what you guys want to do to enjoy the game. The gacha game is already trying to fleece you guys. I don't have too much strong opinions about that. So anyway, same as your friend, you lost 5 hours to the Gundam. Yeah, we lost 4 hours in our first stream of Pinch Out because we were completely unprepared for the Gundams. And then during our continuation stream, we beat the Gundams in 40 minutes. we beat 600 rating in 40 minutes because we were prepared. We lost 4 hours in the previous stream, but we did it in 40 minutes on the next stream. Meanwhile, other people either get killed by all geometry or didn't fight the robots or damaged them preemptively and got one shot by them afterwards. No 600 risk, he didn't have much 6-star meta operators. Oh, that's why he spent 5 hours on that. We are not hardcore, so 600 is our limit. They only played for 2 months. No need winning super hard stage when the only thing it gives you is a headache. Thank guides for saving Sadie, yeah. Yeah, however you guys want to optimize your enjoyment of Arknights, it's all good with me. This is why this is gonna be my hottest opinion. This is my hottest take. My most controversial opinion in Arknights. Whenever Hypergriff posts on their social media that they announce that they caught cheaters, they're like, oh, we caught these cheaters, they interfered with our economy and shit, or whatever. I couldn't give a shit. I couldn't give a shit if there are people cheating in Arknights. It's a gacha game. This game aims to siphon thousands of dollars from its biggest whales. It is predatory as fuck, like every single other gacha game, but I also enjoy it for its story, its world building, and its characters. Let's not forget about that. But I'm completely aware that this is a very predatory gacha game. I don't give a fuck how people enjoy this game. Even if they're cheating, I don't give a fuck. It's a single-player game. Who the fuck cares if someone is cheating in a single-player game? But Hypergriff cares, because why? cheating gets in the way of them selling you power. Cheating gets in the way of Hypergriff selling you power. If you could just open a cheat, if you could open a cheat menu, activate infinite damage in Arknights, you don't need to pull for Mjolnir. The reason why they care about cheating is not because they care about the competitive integrity of the game. It's because they care that you're not pulling for high damage operators. And you're just turning on a cheat code to give you that much damage which they could have sold you regardless. That's the reality of the things. I don't give a fuck if people cheat in Arknights. You guys do what you want to do. It's against terms of service, obviously. But I don't give a shit. It's a single player game. People should enjoy it how they want, and it's a single player predatory game. So, I don't give a shit. MMR PvP cheating is bad, but single player cheating is whatever. Yeah. So anyway, that's my hottest take of the year. Surely that won't get dislikes on this video. Surely. But anyway, so there was that. And we have for our last event. For our last event of the year, capping things off, capping 2023 off, we have the continuation of the Laterano arc, the Sancta arc, in Hortus de Escapismo. The premiere of Executor Alter. Hello, Alicia. Welcome, friendo. So, I recently read this event. It was one of the only times in the year where I actually read the event in the first week without getting distracted. I think it was pretty solid. The story didn't go bombastic as I expected it to go, especially involving stuff with the Sarkaz histories with Sancta, but there was a lot of discrimination going on, let's not lie. The Sancta, they hate the Sarkaz. It's another one of those, oh yeah, the Sarkaz are getting brutalized in this event. They are getting oppressed. They are getting discriminated against. Classic Arknights. Classic. So that's all I'm gonna say about it. If you guys haven't read it yet, it's definitely about the Sancta and the Sarkaz. So Executor finally got his altar. He has a new position when it comes to Laterano. The law is making moves. Things are building up, but I feel like it kind of ended on a cliffhanger. That's all I'm gonna say. It ended on a cliffhanger. It feels like it ended abruptly, and there's still more things to get into later on with more Sancta and Sarkaz stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that as ramifications for this event. Is the Cecilia Enforcer pair mentioned? No, they are absolutely not mentioned here. It's all about Executor. So yeah, capping 2023 off with our final event of the year. It has been a good run, to be honest. This year, more so than last year, had so many banger events. So many S-tier events, so many S-tier stories, so much of which was Kino and cinema. We had so much power creep. So many meta warping and defining characters released this year. It's been wild for Arknights in many ways. A lot of the transmedia narrative stuff was released. Enfield is about to enter its global technical test on the 12th of January. I still have not gotten any confirmation yet from Hypergriff if I got in to the technical test. Who knows? I also signed up for the content creator program for Enfield, so that seems exciting. Was anyone brought below the cathedral again? The cathedral? No spoilers. I'm not gonna answer that. No comment. You were shocked to see that Sarkaz's head served like a... Stop! No spoilers! Rival D, stop. No spoilers. I will remove some messages that have spoilers. No spoilers, chat. It's still the first week of the event. Let's be considerate of people that have not played the event yet. No spoilers. Lone Trail should set New storytelling? Standard for gachas in general? Yeah. Yeah. I have always believed that Arknights, even since last year, when I first started, I've always believed that Arknights has the golden standard for writing when it comes to gacha games. Because gacha games, they either peter out and they go into maintenance mode after a long time, or they light up fast and then they die quickly, like with new releases, so they never get any significant ball rolling. But Arknights has survived for 4 years and counting, and it has just expanded its world so much. It's just great to be in. It's just great to consume. There is so much relevant story content that is still called back to this day. A lot of the early events that we've had in Arknights has splintered off into many all-time greats. Code of Brawl splintered off into Siracusa and Laterano. The Granny event splintered off into the Abyssal Hunter storyline and Kazimierz. We've had the Sui Sibling Saga, which is still ongoing for the next half-decade. We still have a next half-decade of a Sui Sibling Saga. Things are just starting. Things are just getting wild. It feels like all the setup for the world building of Arknights is done, and now the ball is rolling. The ball is rolling into a landslide. Like they're making progress in so many avenues on so many different parts of Terra, from Lone Trail to the Abyssal Hunters and the Seaborn. The Seaborn also having certain effects on a certain current event that is ongoing right now. Things are connecting in ways that we haven't seen before. We still have IS-4 to look forward to. IS-4 with the exploration to the north, with Sammy, the portal in the north, the portal that leads to Talos 2, to Arknights Enfield. The worlds are connecting, the story is connecting. Arknights definitely has the golden standard in world building when it comes to video games. Not just gacha games. I'm just saying video games in general. When I first started Arknights, I was legitimately blown away that the main story, just the main story when I experienced it, it was better. Better than so many AAA stories that came out in the previous years from AAA game developers. It was a very humanistic look at illness, at oppression, at systemic violence. It was very political. It was very humanistic. The main story got me to fall in love with Arknights, but Arknights said, "We got a whole world for you to fall into." And I've been playing since. I'm almost going to have my 2-year anniversary playing Arknights. I started in February 2 of 2022, and in 2 months, I'm gonna have my 2-year anniversary. We're finally gonna get a story about Golden Horde soon. This might open up a new direction for Aegir. Yeah, we still have the Abyssal Hunter storyline going on. We still have to go to Aegir, because Andriana has not been introduced yet. Andriana is an Abyssal Hunter that has been ignored for 4 years. When does she come into this storyline? But she's a new age Abyssal Hunter, so that means she's gonna show up in the next Abyssal Hunter event when they return to Aegir. So that's gonna be exciting. What do I hope for Arknights next year? I hope for Enfield to release next year. I hope for Enfield to release next year. I hope to get into the Enfield technical test. I hope that's great. Since we're not watching any more trailers, I'm gonna turn on the music. So we have some background music. My trash can fell. But anyway, so yeah, Enfield, definitely something I wish would come out next year. They're doing the technical test for the first quarter of 2024. So I expect, if they're doing marketing this early now, they might have beta tests sometime in the middle of next year, and the earliest that we could expect Enfield might be quarter 3 or 4 of 2024. That's the earliest we could expect, because marketing campaigns for video games, they usually start 6 months in advance. So if they already started the technical test for Enfield this November, but that's only the technical test, they still have an extra 6 months prior after to that when they'll announce the actual release date. So they're still working on it. Earliest we could expect it is probably quarter 3 or 4 of next year. Guide Ahead was your first event. You were blown away by the book quality writing. Absolutely didn't expect it from a mobile game. Andriana mentioned Monica. I didn't even know who Monica is. Who is Monica? There's so many characters in this game. I forget. Who is Monica? Just Monica? You wish Arknights would do an XCOM spinoff like Girls Frontline 2? I would love an XCOM spinoff. I am a huge XCOM player. My 4th most played game on Steam last year was me replaying XCOM 2 on Iron Man mode. That was a fun stream. We also streamed that. Wait, did I stream that? I didn't stream that. Nope, I forget. I didn't stream that. Did I? No. I forget. But anyway. So yeah. Hypergriff now has Griffline, which is its global publishing unit. It is in charge of publishing Enfield and developing Enfield, I think. So we have that to expect. X Asterisk. Supposedly, it's supposed to be Hypergriff's first premium game, but it's a mobile game premium game, so I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know about that one. I've seen the gameplay, doesn't look particularly compelling, but I guess we'll see. So anyway, there is that. Aside from Enfield stuff, we should get the announcement of Season 3 of the Arknights anime very soon. Hopefully, I think it's gonna happen for the stream for the spring event, the next Sui sibling event for China. I think that's when they'll announce the next thing. Next announcements, we might have follow-ups on the Destiny collab, Copium. Copium. We might have follow-ups on that. Or potential collabs. People have already been saying it because of Lowlight's previous Billy history on his most watched list. We might have a collab with Final Fantasy XIV as a Final Fantasy XIV player. I hope that happens. I want it to happen. Arknights side story anime when? They are actually considering adapting some side stories of Arknights. They sent surveys out. I don't remember where they sent the surveys out, but they were asking which side stories would you like to see animated. One of the choices were Dark Knight's memoir. The other stories were Near Light, and I forgot the rest. They were definitely asking around to see if they'd consider adapting the other side stories. We need a season 3 of the anime. We are definitely getting a season 3 just to cap out the entire 24 episode run of Arknights. It's gonna cap out the whole Chernobog crisis arc. So it's just a matter of when it gets announced. Most likely it'll get announced during the stream for the Sui Saga event. We need an Ursus event continuation? Yeah. It'd be nice if they continue the Ursus student storyline. Maybe they might give an alter to a previous 5-star Ursus student. Maybe they'll give it to Estina. Maybe they'll give it to Gummy. Gummy alter. Gummy the Devourer. So that'd be interesting. It doesn't have to be a Depression Nights event like previous students of Ursus. It could be a more lively event. Maybe Helliger could take the Ursus students under his wing. Maybe he could teach them. Maybe he could become their squad leader and shit. Who knows? But yeah, continuations of ongoing stories, definitely hope for that. What haven't we had a continuation of yet? I'm gonna let's check out. So Abyssal Hunters are still definitely going on. When we'll continue with this, no idea, but we still have to return to Aegir. Lone Trail seems about done, to be honest. Like, this was a climactic finale of the Rhine Lab arc, so we might not be touching Lone Trail or Rhine Lab stuff for quite a while. However, we still have Mountain stuff. Mountain still has an unfinished plotline regarding his family, the murder of his family, and the corporations that kept him in jail. Well, he was in jail for his protection, but you guys know what I mean. So, from the early events, and then the later events, Guide Ahead's continuing with Executor's event, Sui Saga, Break the Ice is continuing, Near Light, we have no updates to Near Light yet, so we could have a continuation to Near Light, especially involving the Neural Parents. Imagine if we get the Neural Parents to become operators. We'll have the entire Neural family. You could play Neural Knights. Imagine Helliger becoming a sugar daddy. Big Arc would probably have Traveling North discovering the portal and Lone Trail. Oh, yeah, that's correct. So there's still that thing. We still need a direct connection between IS-4 and Enfield. So the whole Enfield saga will be a thing to look forward to. Holiday events, they're usually isolated into themselves. Great Chief returns. They could continue off the holiday events with more Sargon stuff. With more Sargon stuff, especially with Gavial officially leaving Rhodes Island to... Wait, did Gavial leave Rhodes Island? No, she's still deciding. She hasn't decided yet. Gavial is still deciding whether she'll leave Rhodes Island to lead Sargon, or the Rainforest Tribes of Sargon. So there's that. Mansfield Break still needs a continuation, especially with mountain stuff. And that should be it. The Lithanian stuff is already getting continued all the way up to Arturia's event. And yeah, we got a lot of things to look forward to. Poor Jesselton. IS-4 is coming out next month. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. No summer event adaptation. I don't think they're gonna... The summer events are fun and all, but I think we could use our adaptation funds for a lot more grandiose events. Possible character Enfield can be playable in Arknights OG as a collab event? Possible. Very possible. But what would that even mean? Because Arknights, in theory, happens way before Enfield, and some existing characters can still live all the way up to Enfield, like Kelsey, like Warfarin. Warfarin is our unofficial Enfield collab. There's also Angelina, who is a new Angelina. So I don't know how that'll go. Syracuse isn't finished as well. Yeah, Syracuse still has stuff. Oh, that's right. Lapland. They still have to continue Lapland's story because we have the whole plot line between the Fangs. We have the Wolf Gods and the Fangs and their little game. Their little murder game. And Lapland is now officially partnered up with the Lupo God. So she has to get an altar sometime soon. Lapland is number 1 in my predictions for getting an altar eventually, now that she has a whole new dynamic to her progression as a character. Midnight 6-star Enfield. If they make a 6-star of Midnight, I think Iron Mouse will come back to playing the game. Because Midnight reminded Iron Mouse of Booby. If they make a 6-star of Midnight, she might come back to playing the game. She didn't really understand a lot of the tower defense, which is unfortunate. But Connor enjoyed Arknights. Connor is a veteran Arknights player. So is Giguk, actually. But they stopped playing, which is unfortunate. Some of them are way too addicted to that other Gacha universe. Oh my god! I have to replace my shit. Fellow Midnight Skin Haver. I forgot where the Midnight Skin came from. Was it CC? I don't quite remember. I have to replace my shit. Okay, so anyway, I think that is that. Arknights has overall had, by far, its best year yet in 2023. It only looks like it's getting a lot better in 2024. We've had immense growth in players, we've had immense growth in revenue. The world of Arknights is just developing wider and wider, with more stories that expand the world building and the story. It's getting more serious as we reach the climax and the beginning of so many new plot lines and so many old plot lines. I think Arknights is in a very good place as a series, as a brand. Definitely look forward to Arknights 2024. And that has been our year-end review of Arknights in 2023. It's been a banging year. Lots of stuff going on. And so far, it's going to be looking good in the future. Once again, my name is Nez, and thanks for watching. If you friendos have your own thoughts about everything that's gone on this year, put them down below. What was your favorite event? What was your favorite new character that was released? Or what was your favorite new plotline or story? Put them down below. But until our next video, my name is Nez, and thanks for watching. I'ma see you all next time, friendos. Bye-bye. So there's our outro for the YouTube video. I didn't really do an intro for the YouTube video. I'll just do that off stream. But anyway, that should be that. I've been talking for 3 hours. Only drama this year is the Cookie versus Archive drama. Yeah. Yeah. There was that. Anyway. Blah, 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 blah. We also unfortunately lost a handful of Arknights content creators. They either stopped uploading Arknights content and moved on to greater pastures, or they just stopped uploading in general. Rest in peace to all the previous Arknights content creators, but we do have... I have been seeing that there is a new generation of Arknights content creators coming in. And so far, I think some of them are very talented, especially with the type of content they put out. Me, I'm just fucking lazy. We just stream and talk shit, and I just low effort edit the clips into videos, and somehow people watch that. We're so low effort. Somehow we're still here. But anyway, I enjoyed our time talking today, friendos. But my throat is getting tired. That's what she said. Giggity. Anyway, there's that. I will be peacing out. Thank you to everyone who stopped by for our year-end Arknights review stream. We are going to have one more stream on the 28th, last weekend of the month, for the EX of Hortus de Escapismo. That's gonna come out on the 28th. We are gonna be streaming New Year weekend. Good pulls, everyone. If you are all pulling for Executor, good luck. If you're saving for the Aya banner that is coming very soon, also good luck. We are having Lingering Echoes rerun at the start of the new year. If you wanna have some Goat Boy depression, there's that. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I'ma see you all next time, friendos. Bye-bye.